Mickey, Taimu, Seagull, just to name a few. What do these names have in common? Well, it's one word, Team Envious. They are still popularly referred to as Boys in Blue, and they are currently playing for Dallas Fuel. Why are they so popular, you might ask? Simply put, it's because they share the word Team Envious, which was known to be one of the strongest Western team that had legions of fans backing them. All the Boys in Blue are star players in their own right, so it does not make sense that a team built around such talented players should even struggle. But then how come a team full of legends are at the bottom of the barrel, struggling to win even a single match? Well, to be honest, there's no straight answer. There are various macro and micro reasons why Dallas Fuel is unable to perform. And here's my breakdown of the reasons why Dallas Fuel is one of the worst performing teams in Overwatch League. Hi friends, this is KanKicks, and before we move into the macro level causes, let's look at the micro level at the players themselves. And you know what I see? I see a team playing a round of musical chairs, seeing who gets to sit on what role or on what hero. Now, casters and analysts and fans call this being creative or being bold. People see Dallas Fuel as a team that really loves to mix things up. A team that likes to do things differently, things that are not in the meta. Well, it saddens me to break your bubble, but Dallas Fuel trying something different or different composition is less to do with choice and more to do with design. It's more to do with the fact that there are so many overlaps in their roles, and not in a good way, not in a way that you'll call it flexing. Now, Dallas Fuels have phenomenal DPSs who are actually Fuel's best tanks also. Let me elaborate. Let's start with star player Effect. Now, Effect is one of the best Zarya players out there, but Dallas Fuel need Effect to be on Tracer as he is arguably the world's #1 Tracer and the only one on Dallas Fuel's roster that can actually play her. But if you put Effect on Tracer, there is no one that can fill in for him on Zarya. If the team composition needs a Zarya and a Tracer, then Dallas Fuel is in a fix. Taimu is a great Roadhog, but he cannot play Zarya. While Dallas Fuel's tanks Coco, Mickey and XQC have failed to expand their tank hero pool to incorporate Zarya in it. But if you trade Effect's Zarya for his Tracer, then he cannot change over to Tracer or Widowmaker in the middle of the game, as you do not want to switch off Zarya and forgo the Graviton ult, which is the slowest charging ult in the game, making Dallas Fuel actually very rigid and an inflexible team, which is actually counterintuitive because Fuel's players can actually play different heroes. So the fact remains that you always prefer Effect on DPS, as Effect is the only consistent DPS source for Dallas Fuel, which leaves Taimu to complement Effect with another DPS. But Taimu is a person who has shown signs of inconsistencies. If he is not in the element, he is like the worst player in the league. But if he is rocking, then Taimu is someone who goes well beyond what is expected from a single player. Also, Taimu is the best Roadhog in the entire league. The things he can fish out as Roadhog are just unreal.
The Death Blossom. D.Va counts for 2 sometimes. There's a hook.
Come here, goodbye. We don't want your Transcendence on the card.
That's right. Taimu rejects Transcendence. He's going to stay the same forever on that Roadhog.
So what do you trade? You can either have Taimu play a serviceable Soldier 76 or a Widowmaker, or have him on a Hog on which he is an absolute monster. So you need to prefer Taimu on Hog because neither Mickey or Coco can sub for him. Plus, Taimu's DPS play on Widow and Soldier throughout the matches have been, for a lack of a better word, well, lackluster. He seems to be struggling to complement Effect in the DPS department, though some of his McCree plays this week were very good.
Fraggy in here on a primal rage. Harry Hook going down to his counterpart is brutal as well. Taimu continues to punish Carpet.
Now, To be fair, they have tried to have Taimu train Mickey on his Hog to combo it with Coco's Orisa, but Mickey's performance on the Hog has not been very good. But even if we somehow manage to put Mickey on the Hog or on Orisa, we lose Mickey's Diva, which is one of the best divas in Overwatch League. And no other person except Mickey on Team Fuel's roster can play Diva effectively. So in terms of tanks, you have to have Mickey consistently on your play roster because Diva is almost necessary in almost every type of team composition. What you can do is switch Coco's Winston for XQC's Winston, at least before when XQC was not banned. But though XQC's massive fan following believes that he's a much better Winston player and Dallas Fuel should have him instead of Coco, I could not disagree more. The problem with XQC is that he's very volatile. He seems to not play with the team, getting himself slipped or getting caught in a Diva bomb.
Feel that as soon as possible. If we take a look right here,
XQC up there.
Watch XQC. He's going to get slept in midair. There it is, right there.
Yep.
As we can see, and there comes the self-destruct.
Oh, no.
Instant reaction.
Right on top of him. Oh, that poor guy.
Did you guys notice how many times XQC got himself isolated from his team? While I feel Coco has been much more of a sensible player and a bigger playmaker, he has been aware of his positioning and his immediate environment. Whenever XQC is brought in the team seems to perform worse. Maybe because of his loud, obnoxious behavior.
What? Oh, we won! We won! Oh, we had the point! Why? What happened?
If you notice, whenever Seagull is brought into the team, the Dallas team immediately starts to perform better. Now, Seagull is not a god tier player and is picked for his niche picks whenever Dallas Fuel needs a projectile based heroes such as Pharah, Junkrat or Hanzo. But it's maybe because of his seniority and maturity, the other team members including XQC seem to listen to him. They communicate and coordinate better, maybe out of respect for Seagull. I can't be sure about it though. But Dallas team especially, Effect, surely seems to do better when Seagull's around. Though I would like to see more of Seagull on his Genji, but I guess Dallas Fuel feels that Genji, even though is a projectile based hero, is just better in Effect's hands. That's sad because Seagull actually came to limelight because of his Genji play. Same is with the case with Taimu. I feel Taimu, because of his maturity, brings a much needed calmness to the madness that is Dallas Fuel. But that does not change the fact that Dallas Fuel has this odd assortment of top-notch ingredients that just do not mesh well together to make for an appetizing dish. If you remember, the old team NVS, they were not mechanically the best players, but they played off each other's strengths and weaknesses. They were like this well-oiled machine, and that's what created magic. Now, they have mechanically god-tier players, which should actually help them win more, but the exact opposite is happening. Maybe it's because of the language and cultural divide. Effect is from Korea and he, just by his nature, is kind of shy and socially awkward, especially when you compare him to the loudmouths like XQC.
Welcome to the jungle! Thanks for subscribing! Woo!
He is very loud, but fun a lot. Yeah.
Do you enjoy being around him?
No, I can't because I'm quiet.
Plus, the language barrier just aggravates the situation. And then there is this cultural discipline divide. Effect is known to be very hardworking and a disciplined person, following a very strict routine. He does hours of aim drills, then hours of quick play before he even jumps into competitive. And that's the kind of discipline that is foreign to most Western players. And then you have personalities like XQC, who are more like wild creatures, going with the flow, living in the moment. I can see him jamming up the communications with his constant yammering.
Are you telling me that these pixels on my screen and these words that on my headphones, I can remove them, dude? I can ignore them? I cannot get triggered by them? I cannot act like I'm offended by them? What the fuck, dude? I think I just discovered fire. It's like I've just discovered a whole spectrum of things. What the f***?
So, people who keep pointing fingers on Effect for not performing or not playing more of a signature hero Tracer, instead going with something like Widowmaker, should consider that it might be a forced choice. Effect might not be playing Tracer because he feels his team is not working around him, helping him to prioritize targets. Tracer is a high-risk, high-reward hero, and contrary to the belief that Tracer can play solo, she in fact needs her team to be highly coordinated to create space for her and follow up on her plays. Even I choose to play a more safer and a less risky hero, say for example Soldier 76 whenever I'm playing in a pickup group, because I can engage on a range that is relatively safe.
Oh, Matt really keeping the pressure on, and Lancer finds the headshot on effect. They are putting up one hell of a fight right now, Houston.
It seems they've identified one of the biggest threats on this Dallas Fuel team, and it has been a fact. Everyone talked to us in the preseason about how this guy is a robot playing on a different level, so they've decided to take him out of the game. They've run his hard counters. Effect has been very quiet through this entire matchup.
My point is that people complain that it's Effect's fault for not playing Tracer and playing something like Widowmaker. Well, they should consider the possibility that Effect not picking up Tracer might just point out to the bigger problem with Dallas' team, that is lack of cohesion and lack of overall coordination and communication. Now, the problem of overlap is not just unique to tanks and DPS. Even the support lineup for Dallas Fuel suffers from the same, which is aggravated on the macro level by the fact that this is a Mercy meta. Dallas Fuel is just playing in the worst possible meta for them.
However, watch agilities with this Dragon Blade. If he can get the work done, if he can kill Custa before that Valkyrie comes out and he gets the value out of the reses, it could be the end.
They do not look like that they are attuned to this Mercy meta, as I feel that Dallas Fuel's support are just not comfortable playing Mercy, maybe even reluctant to play her.
Right here, he's going to finish that off. The good zoning. Chips will be the next to fall as well on that Mercy.
That is rough.
So you end up having poor Chips playing a very serviceable Mercy. But Chips, I feel, would do better if he plays Zen or Ana instead. But then the problem is you can't have Custa on Mercy because he's one of the best Zens out there. And Harry Hook is mainly a Lucio player who can also play Zen, but he is just not going to be comfortable on Mercy. So forcing him to play Mercy will push him against what works naturally for him. So that leaves poor Chips to play a must-have hero Mercy. But he's constantly getting outplayed by the enemy Mercy. I just feel sad about how he is struggling with Mercy. Poor Chips, he's genuinely a good sport player, but on sports that he's comfortable with. Dallas can try to put Custa on Mercy and Chips on Zen and see how that works for them, but then Custa is such a good Zen that it's just risky to make that shift. So Dallas Fuel are under this constant strain of what to play and who's going to play it. It's just breaking them down at the very core. And the pressure from the fans and from their own underperformance is just making it worse. Like I said, it's not that they are trying to be creative about their picks or are shaking up the meta or something. It's by design that they are genuinely in a tough spot. And to make matters worse, Dallas Fuel have just signed up AKM, who is a god tier DPS that was sadly left out from the league. But what I feel Dallas Fuel really needed was a player that can competently play a hit scan and a projectile based DPS to aid Effect and bring that much needed mid-fight flexibility to the roster. AKM is known to be a hit scan specialist, excelling at Soldier 76 and McCree. He has constantly stated that he will only join a team if he would be the mainstay and not someone who would be on the bench being brought in to sub for someone. Which is fine because he is that good. But in case of Dallas Fuel, it just brings more inflexibility. They've surely picked him up to be the DPS buddy for Effect. But if that's the case, then you would have Taimu be sitting on the bench more often with Seagull, who is already spending way more time on the bench than he should. But then Dallas Fuel would be losing on Taimu's god tier Roadhog plays.
Far so good. Whoa, there's a hook.
And also, where does that put Seagull? Seagull is a person who can reliably play projectile based DPS like Pharah and Junkie. Plus, Both Taimu and Seagull are players that bring the much needed stability and calmness to their already shaky team. They are both mature and articulate players, and I don't see AKM bringing in the same amount of respect right from the start. Not even close to the amount of respect that these two original Team Envious players enjoy. Not to mention the big ego clashes that will happen between XQC, AKM and Effect, causing more friction in the team. Boy, it's going to be rough. It's either going to be an absolute disaster or things will just naturally calm down for Dallas Fuel. And who knows, they might just start performing better when the Mercy meta goes away in stage 2. But if you ask me, for my money, things will get worse for Dallas Fuel before it starts getting better. Though I genuinely wish that I'm proved wrong because my heart goes out to them.
In a way, we kind of needed to lose. We were just too comfortable, too relaxed, and losing allowed us to see okay, teams are actually catching up to us now. We're not the best right now. We need to try harder. We need to stop letting these teams walk all over us. It's kind of eye-opening that we really need to wake up and try harder, because I have no doubt that I'm gonna be able to get these guys to be in top shape by playoffs and hopefully win this season, but we really just need to get to where we all want to be.
Here's hoping for Dallas Fuel to be once again the strongest Western team that they initially were as Team Envious. I would like to hear from you guys. What do you think what's going to happen with Dallas Fuel? Please make sure to like this video and discuss about the state of Dallas Fuel in the comments below. Also, we would have more Overwatch League stuff and content coming up for you guys, so remember to subscribe to us and press the bell icon to stay up to date. This was KanKicks, kicking out.